All right, what's up everybody? It's Kris from Maxlider Brothers Customs, and we're gonna do a quick video on our light bar. We have a lot of people who want to purchase it online, and so there's some key features everybody's gonna need to know so they can hook it up the same way that Maxlider does. So let's go through them. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is assemble your light bar. These lights all daisy chain into each other with these H connectors. So you'll get them where the bolts are loose, you'll attach the bolts like so, and then you'll have a left and a right connector, and it's specific. This connector will end up going underneath the light bar. And so after you get them on there, I'll slide that one over, slide it on. We normally leave them loose until we get them all together. Then you'll take your next one. I don't have the bolts on there, but get the bolts on, you slide it into each other, so it'll slide in. And then you'll take the next H block, put it on there, and then build them on down the end. When you get to the very end, you'll take the right side, plug it into the light like so, then you will slide it on the end like that. Some of the things you're going to need to be able to install this kit that won't come with the kit. You're going to need 2 external relays. You're going to need 12 gauge wire. We like to run red for power 12 gauge and black for ground 12 gauge. Then you're going to need the butt connectors, and you're going to need your owner's manual to be able to know which wires underneath the hood you're going to have to tap into. We're using a Raptor right now, so we're going to use the upfitter switches up top. We always use switch number 6. That switch is not being used to power it. It's being used to toggle the relays that you're going to have to install on and off that will provide power up to the top. So let's talk relays. We use a rough country relay box. The reason why is because we do more accessories than just the light bar, and this provides multiple relays for multiple accessories. If you don't want this box, you can source your own relays, and you will hook those off of 30 amp fuses. Those relays will be hooked directly, and fuses will be hooked directly to the battery power, and then you will use the number 6 aux switch, which is yellow with orange tracer back here. That will be the wire that fires your relay. That's all it's going to do is move the relays. It's not going to provide power to the lights. This is just going to move the relays back and forth to be able to provide power to the lights. So after the relays, we run the 2 power wires off the relay, down the back of the firewall, all the way over to the passenger side. We remove the coolant reservoir, and underneath the reservoir is a big grommet. We go through that grommet into the cab of the vehicle to run the wires. When you come through the firewall on the bottom, you'll want to remove the kick panel down here and some of this A-pillar trim. The wires are going to come through there. You're going to run up the kick panel, the inside of the kick panel, all the way up the A-pillar. Avoid getting in front of the airbag. You want to stay on the right side of the airbag so it doesn't wrap up around it. And you're going to come up to the top. So our passenger side light bar bracket's going to have 3 holes. These 2 holes are where you're going to mount it to the windshield frame. There'll be 2 10mm nuts at the top of the windshield frame. That's where you're going to mount these 2. The 3rd hole, this is where we pass the wires through. So once we get it up there and we have it mounted, we can mark the hole in the windshield frame, and that's where we're going to drill the hole and pass the wires through. You can tell where we bring the wires through at. This is where we drill the hole and the wires come up through, which is obviously this hole. Now, when you have your 2 powers, you're going to have 2 powers and 2 grounds coming up here. One power is going to go to one side of the light, and the other power is going to go to the other side of the light. You can't run one relay and wire it off. It's not going to be enough power to power this light. You have to run 2 separate wires coming up to it. Run one power in one side, one power on the other side, and then you're going to run your grounds back in through. And so we use tubing to shrink it up to make it a nice, clean, tight seal. And then you're going to want to use, we use, funny enough, Flex Seal to seal the hole here between the windshield frame, the light bracket, and the wires to prevent water from getting in. So now that you have the powers ran for both sides, you're going to want to hook up the ground. Bring the ground back in. We do not ground it to these nuts up here. They're not a good enough ground we found. So we bring the ground back in through the windshield frame down inside the vehicle, and I'll show you where. There's a nut and a bolt right here, a stud and a nut. That's where we hook our grounds to. Make sure the paint's cleaned off there, and then we hook the grounds right up to there. Okay, so let's go over some of the key features. You're going to need to source 2 extra relays, 12 gauge wire to run 2 12 gauge wires up to the top for power, and then 2 for the ground. And then just when you drill this hole, you're going to want to make sure you seal it up well enough so you do not have a leak through the windshield frame. So those are the key points that goes into the installing of the light bar. Thanks for watching.